One of the terms you'll be hearing here in the various plenary sessions is that new urbanism hasn't always necessarily been, we haven't talked about it in green terms. And what we're trying to do at this Congress is to elevate that conversation now and to make it much more obvious and to look at it as the convenient remedy to the inconvenient truth. With that, I give you Andres Duani.
The context of the Transect is one in which took a very long time to arrive at, and it has to do with the tremendous difficulty we have had scaling up the new urbanism, because every project turns out to or needs to be a full-fledged educational campaign. The fundamental problem that we have against us is not that we can't convince people. It's just that even after you have convinced people, after you've convinced the Public Works Manual, the mayor, the council, the developer, the people who will build the buildings from the developer and so forth, there's still an underlying resistance, which is almost like gravity. Why is it so hard if everybody has been convinced? Every culture has its own transect. These are 4 images from the 100-foot roll in Taipei Airport that starts with rural, gradually comes in. I would say that's T2, T3, T4, T5. And what you notice in China is this, that there's always a wall on the road, whatever the T-zone, whatever the transect zone. It's how dense the inside is that changes. Right? So it's a different attitude. The American system has to do with setbacks. Not only is it less dense, it's further from the road. In T3 you have long setbacks. In T5 you have short setbacks. Buildings align and rotate. A tremendous cultural difference. So it's very important, and Steph Polizoides has always been very careful. He says this is a great tool, but you must emphasize and emphasize and emphasize again that it has to be locally calibrated. If not, we're going to get the same homogeneity. And what people misunderstand with the model code, which is the smart code that's for sale out there, is that it does have everything filled in, right? But that's a default setting for generic Americana. And everything about the smart code is about calibrating it locally. And I'm going to show you some methods by which it can be calibrated. Okay, there's a bunch of drawings that explain the transect, that actually defines the transect. And it's defined several ways. The transect, this is all about doing it every which. If there are 3 ways you do it, if there are 3 ways to do it, you do it 3 ways. You can do it by illustration, you can do it by text, or you can do it by technical presentation. Just a technological thing. And then this is one that we did based on Henri Probe's diagram that you notice. We just made it more complete and sophisticated, T1 to T5. Right? By the way, this is not only spatial, it's by time. It's urbanism becoming more urban. And then this is a Midwest one. Okay, just very simple explanation. It's based on, this is a local Midwest calibration. That's what it looks like, if that's your scene. This is a redrawing of the one I showed you earlier. This you recognize, Getty's. And this is Jaime's very accomplished. Do you want to explain it, Jaime? I have all your...
Jaime, come up here and take the phone.
Okay, what Jaime did is he takes solar roofs, vegetable gardens, water harvesters, wind turbines, right, and assigns them to transect zones, right? And then over here is, what is it? Compost bins, geothermal wells, green roofs, hot water panels, and septic tanks. Each of these, obviously, you can't have a septic tank in T6, can you? I mean, we know that, but not everything else is so obvious. And I think LEED ND asks too much, too uniformly. Not LEED ND, the LEED building is too much, too uniformly. It doesn't take into account that there are different transect zones. One of the dreams we have is that the LEED ND would plug into this, can make use to it. It's alternating system. Now, how do you get a LEED ND to do things? I'm not certain everybody is trying to do it. But it is, I do know this, that I went through it very thoroughly, and wherever LEED ND kind of was dumb, was stupid, was because for lack of a transect. Now, not all the LEED ND standards need a transect. Maybe 1/10 of them need a transect. But those who don't have a transect really are in trouble for lack of a transect. It just became perfectly clear. Lead ND, which is really a smart document, suddenly becomes stupid. You say, why is it stupid? Well, because it's telling you to do things one way when it's perfectly obvious that there are several ways to do it, all of which are good, and they're not dealing with it. So that's one thing.